Radhika Didi, it's live.
Namo Vishnupadaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayana Namine Panchakalpataruvascha Kripa Sindhuvaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Chintamani Moh Radha-kunda Tata Tahi kunja Santa Shanta Chintamani Moh Radha-kunda Tata Tahi kunja Santa Shanta Pravala Vidro Mohitarulata Mukta Phale Avananta Chintamani Moh Radha-kunda Tata Tahi kunja Shanta Shanta Svanana Sukhada Kunjamana Hara Tahite Kutina Shobe Svanana Sukhada Kunjamana Hara Tahite Kutina Shobe Basiya Tathai Gaba Krishna Nama Vasiya Tathai Gaba Krishna Nama Kabe Krishna Dasalobhe Kabe Krishna Dasalobhe Chintamani Moh Radha-kunda Tata Tahi kunja Shanta Shanta Chintamani Moh Radha-kunda Tata Tahi kunja Shanta Shanta Imanasama Murali Raga Poshibe Dasikane Imanasama Murali Raga Poshibe Dasikane Anane mati ba sakale bhuli ba Anane mati ba sakala bhuli ba Shri Krishna Vamsi Ragane Shri Krishna Vamsi Ragane Chintamani Moh Radha-kunda Tata Tahi kunja Shanta Shanta Chintamani Moh Radha-kunda Tata Tahi kunja Shanta Shanta Radhe Radhe Boli Murali Nakhibe Modiya Ishwari Name Radhe Radhe Boli Murali Nakhibe Modiya ईश्वरी राधे 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 बोली मुरारी राखीबे मोदिया ईश्वरी नामे सुनिया चामुखी उतिबे ए दासी सुनिया चामुखी उतिबे दासी के मने करिबे प्राण के मने करिबे प्राण चिंतामणि राधा-kunda दाता ताहे कुंज सत चिंतामणि राधा-kunda दाता ताहे कुंज सत जय राधे जय राधे जय राधे जय श्री राधे जय राधे जय राधे जय राधे जय श्री राधे जय राधा-kunda जय श्याम-kunda जय राधा-kunda जय श्याम-kunda जय राधा-kunda जय श्याम-kunda जय राधा-kunda जय श्याम-kunda जय वृंदावन धाम जय गिरि गोवर्धन 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 गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद गुरु परंपरा 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 निताई गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताई गौरा हरि बोल निताई गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताई गौरा हरि बोल निताई गौर प्रेमानंदी हरि हरि बोल
Very well. Thank you so much for your beautiful kirtan. Okay. Shripad Vaikanis Maharaj, if you want to do the Jai Dwani.
Jai Jai Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shri Shri Radha Radha-raman Jai Shri Radha Madan Mohan Shri Shri Radha Govinda Shri Radha Gopinath Shri Radha Damodar Ki Jai Jai Nitya Lila Bhavishta Om Vishnu Parasto Talsat Sri Simad Abhaya Charanavinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Nitya Lila Bhavishta Om Vishnu Parasto Talsat Sri Simad Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Nitya Lila Bhavishta Om Vishnu Parasto Talsat Sri Simad Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Nitya Lila Bhavishta Om Vishnu Parasto Talsat Sri Simad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Mahabhagavad Srila Gaur Kishoras Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Saptam Goswami Srila Sachitananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Gaudiya Vedanta Charja Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan Prabhu Ki Jai. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Ki Jai. Sri Narottam Srinivas Shamananda Prabhu Traya Ki Jai. Sri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Shri Rup, Shri Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath, Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath, Sad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai, Shri Sarup Damodar Roy Ramananda, Adi Gaura Pasha Vinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Shahadas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Zika Ho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vinda Ki Jai, Shri Antardreep Mayapur Sri Mantradeep Godu Madip Madhudeep Koladip Rudadeep Chandradeep Moda Drumadeep Rudadeep Matmaka Shri Navaditan Ki Jai, Shri Mahavan Kamyavan Maruvan Talavan Kamudavan Bandiravan Vrindavan Kandiravan Lohavan, Bhadravan, Bahulavan, Bailvan, Shri Dwarasatmaka, Shri Bhajmandal Ki Jai, Shri Radha Krishna. Gopa Gopi Gopinath Gopa Gopi Go Govardhan Dvarsonatmaka Shri Bhajmandal Ki Jai Shamakunda Radha-kunda Jamuna Ganga Tulasi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Nandini Shrimati Radharani Ki Jai Lalita Vishaka Aryasta Saki Vindiki Jai Rupa Manjari Rati Manjari Adi Manjari Vindiki Jai Purnamasi Devi Ki Jai Vrinda Devi Ki Jai Gopi Sar Mahadev Ki Jai Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakrajuk Ki Jai Bhakta Vignaminash Sri Nasinga Bhagavan Ki Jai Bhaktaraj Shipalad Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Harinam Prabhu Ki Jai Shri Bhuvanamangala Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai Brihat Madanga Ki Jai Shri Brajmandal Parikram Ki Jai Shri Urjavat Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavini Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari 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 Bol.
Haribo. Om Magyana Timarandasya Anjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jaina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Gora Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Vana Iti Namine Namo Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyamane Shri Shrimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Iti Namine Namo Vishnu Padaya Shri Keshava Priyamane Shri Shrimad Bhaktivedanta Mama Niti Namine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Panchakalpa Turubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaeva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Bol. Dandavat pranams to all the speaker, to all the listeners, and to all the speakers. Today, Shripad Bhaktivedanta Tridandi Maharaj, Shripad Bhaktivedanta Vaikanis Maharaj, and Shripad Bhaktivedanta Shuddhadvaiti Maharaj. Today we will be going on Radha-kunda parikrama. We'll be going to Uddhava-kunda and Kusuma-sarovara, etc. Not sure what etc. means, but I'm sure we'll find out shortly. Prasadam at Sri Giridhari Gaudiya Matha. I guess the prasadam is coming in the form of Harikatha and Dipavali, and I am not sure what order we're going in, but I see Shripad Tridandi Maharaj has unmuted himself, so maybe he is first. So I'll hand over to you to correct me if I'm wrong.
Jai Tarunji. You had it finished? Anymore? Okay. Okay, Tarunji. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. So, Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namaha. And first of all, offering millions and millions of Dandavat pranams unto the lotus feet of our most beloved Gurudev, Nityalila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimat Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And the same again, millions and millions of times unto the lotus feet of our most beloved Nityalila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimat Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And all our divine Rupanuga Guru Varg and all the Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord, my Dandavat pranams to all of you. Vansha kalpa tarubhyascha, kripa sindhuvyascha, patitanam bhavnivyo, Vaishnavivyo, namo namaha. So today here in Govardhan is Dipavali. The general people are offering many lamps today and last night. It actually goes on for 3 or 4 days. It's a very beautiful, festive offering of lamps. And our Gurudev has said this light is symbolic of lighting up the consciousness within the sadhak's journey, this illumination. So this illumination is a very grand festival which goes on for 3 or 4 days here. But today we've left our Giridhari Gaudiya Matha, if that's where we're stationed today on our parikrama, and we cut across Govardhan via Mana-sarovara. So we walk along the embankment of Mana-sarovara, then we connect with the parikrama path on the other side of Mana-sarovara on its way north. We only ever circumambulate Govardhan, with Govardhan always on our right. If you go the other way, my Gurudev described one time, this is the way the Muslims go. So we've crossed over at Mana-sarovara and we start walking up the parikrama path. And the first place we come to is Uddhava-kunda. So I hope everyone's orientated where we are. We're circumambulating the northern part of Giriraj Maharaj. But here, Giri Govardhan is feeling so much separation that practically we can't even see him anymore. We understand, and we'll hear the pastime tomorrow, how Pulastya Rishi cursed him to sink a mustard seed per day. So at this part of our parikrama, you can see very little of the rock formation of Giriraj. Whereas in the south parikrama, we could see 200-300 feet of Govardhan's body. So now we're walking up, and the first place we come to, very, very beautiful place, is Uddhava-kunda. So now someone was making a comment. I was trying to catch up with him. Yes, I say that about walking the opposite way around, because one time I was in Malaysia and there was a park and I was walking with Srila Gurudev and many people were walking around to the right. And Gurudev says, no, you always walk to the left with the park on your right. And he said at that time that only Muslims walk the other way. And in fact, in Malaysia, it was a lot of Muslims who were walking the other way. So just always remember that. So there's no doubt about where we're going now. We're on our way to Radha-kunda, and we'll come back via Kusuma-sarovara, and we'll end up in our Giridhari Gaudiya Matha. So that's the circuit. So we've come to Uddhava-kunda. This kund was re-established, we can say, by Brajanabha, the great grandson of Krishna. And he established this 5,000 years ago in memory of all the brilliant pastimes that had gone on in Braj. He didn't want those pastimes just to not be acknowledged through time. So this kund was originally excavated and manifested at that time, many thousands of years ago. And of course, it's been refurbished over the years. But it's celebrating the great personality of Uddhava. Uddhava is such a special personality in our Leelas that we describe in Braj in particular. Uddhava, the name, it means festival of joy. And we should understand who is Uddhava in relationship to Krishna. Krishna, his father is Vasudeva. Vasudeva has 9 brothers. One of those brothers is Devabhag. Their father is Surya Sen. Their grandfather is Devamida. This is the line. From Devamida, he had 2 wives. He had a Kshatriya wife and he had a Vaishya wife. So the branches from Devamida come into 2 places. And from Sutta, his Kshatriya wife, came Surya Sen, and then comes Vasudeva is born from Surya Sen. So Surya Sen and Parjanya, the grandfather of Krishna, are like from the same grandfather. You can understand the tree. Devamida is sitting at the top, and then he has 2 offspring, Surya Sen and Parjanya. From Parjanya comes Upananda, Abhinanda, Nanda, Sunanda, and Nanda, 5 brothers. And from Nanda Baba, of course, comes Krishna. And then from Surya Sen comes Vasudeva and 9 other brothers. And one of those other brothers is called Devabhag. Devabhag is the brother of Vasudeva. So from Devabhag is born Uddhava. So Uddhava is a cousin brother of Krishna. They're very closely related. It's not just a casual, removed relation. It's a close, intimate relation. So while Krishna was in Braj for the first 8, 9 years, 10 years of his life, Uddhava was growing up knowing about Krishna as being his illustrious cousin brother. And it's described in his childhood, he would have dolls representing Krishna like deities, and he would be playing with these dolls. And it's described in the Bhagavatam how his mother would call him for his prasad, and he would be so engrossed in his worship of Krishna. And he's also described as being a Jnani Bhakta. Now we have to understand the distinction between a Jnani and a Jnani Bhakta. There's a world, a universe of difference between the two. A Jnani Bhakta is someone who has complete faith in the supremacy and conception that the Supreme Lord is the creator of all in existence, that supreme personality of Godhead, and acknowledges his absolute nature. This is a Jnani. Bhishma Dev was also a Jnani Bhakta. Prahlad, of course, is a prominent Jnani Bhakta. A Jnani is someone who's focusing just using their Jnana to attain the Brahman and moksha and liberation. That's a Jnani. But a Jnani Bhakta is quite different. There's quite distinct there. So Uddhava is a Jnani Bhakta. He always sees Krishna as the supreme personality of Godhead, even though he has a very intimate connection with Krishna simultaneously. So it's a very unique situation, because on the bodily platform, he's seeing this person is my dearest relative. And Krishna calls Uddhava his dearest friend, his most dearest friend. So they're dear because of their familial relationship as cousin brothers, but also much stronger than that. Uddhava is described as so brilliant in his capacity of understanding Shastra, described as a disciple of Brihaspati. Brihaspati is the spiritual master of the demigods. Brihaspati is the most knowledgeable personality. So Uddhava is his best disciple. And this is all described for a very special reason. Even though Uddhava is a Jnani Bhakta, he understands Krishna as the supreme personality of Godhead. He has so much Jnana and knowledge received from Brihaspati. but he doesn't have knowledge of Braja Prem. This is the principal point to appreciate now. His knowledge of Braja Prem is absent because he hasn't been to Braj. But there was a particular time in their relationship when Krishna returns from Ujjain, from his Gurukul pastimes. And my Gurudev describes he's sitting on a palace in Mathura. And of course, he's remembering in his heart the blissful relationships he has with the gopis, with the cows, with Nanda Baba, with Mother Yashoda, with all the sakhas, etc., with even the trees and the birds, everything in Braj. His heart is aching in separation from Braj, and he's sitting there alone, and he's thinking to himself, who can I send to represent me in Braj, to send a message? I want to send a direct message to Braj, even though many messages, of course, are floating through the airwaves, so to speak, but a direct representative. And then Uddhava comes up on the roof at that particular time. And immediately Krishna feels inspired to share with Uddhava the wealth of his heart and to encourage Uddhava to go to Vrindavan. So this is described in the 46th and 47th chapters of the 10th canto. Very, very powerful. We've already heard about Uddhava in the 3rd canto when he meets Vidura, when Vidura has left Hastinapur and he meets Uddhava, and Uddhava speaks many beautiful pastimes about Krishna in Dwarka. And he also reflects on the pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan at that time in the 3rd canto. But in this 46th chapter, when actually Krishna has left Vrindavan, he's taken by Akrura. He's taken by Akrura to defeat the demoniac Kamsa and all those demoniac personalities in Mathura. And then Vasudeva and Devaki have claimed him as their son, and he's unable to return to Vrindavan. But there's, of course, specific reasons why he doesn't go back to Vrindavan, because he has duties to do. Parityanaya sadhanam, vinashaya dustikram, etc. So now Uddhava has appeared on the rooftop, and Krishna, he requests Uddhava to take a message, not a written message, a message of the heart. We understand 5,000 years ago, there was practically no written scriptures. They were all transferred from the heart to the shishya, from the shishya to his shishya, etc. This is the way spiritual knowledge was transferred. So certainly someone of Uddhava's capacity could remember the moods and specialities that Krishna was going to impart into his heart to share with his mother and father, Nanda and Yashoda, and especially the gopis. But Krishna had another objective. He loved Uddhava so much, and he also loves the Mathuravasis and the Dwarkavasis, and he wants them to know the degree of love that the Brijvasis have for Krishna. Because the Dwarkavasis and the Mathuravasis are thinking that, yes, now we have Krishna in our camp. Yes, he's in our place because we love him so much. But what is the degree of that love? It's all coated with an Aishwarya mood. It's all in a belief that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or he's Paramatma. He's on this level. This is how they're viewing. This is the Aishwarya vision. Whereas the Madhurya vision, they don't see that at all, not even a smell of that. He's just their relative, just their Lala in Vrindavan. Mother Yashoda will even bind him. We heard the pastime yesterday. So he wants Uddhava to go to Vrindavan and to take a message for him to the Brijvasis. At the same time, he wants Uddhava to become educated in the nature of the Brijvasis praying. Yes, Uddhava is a Jnani Bhakta. He knows so much Gyan, but he doesn't know the degree of praying in Braj. He has no idea of this degree of praying. He can't conceive of it. And yet he's described as being the mantri, the minister, the chief minister, actually in Dwarka later on, when they shift to Dwarka. He's the chief minister of Krishna. But Now Krishna has found an opportunity to educate him, as well as transfer messages to his mother and father. So it's a remarkable pastime, because actually it's as if Shukadev leaves Vrindavan, goes to Mathura, and describes the pastime of the killing of Kamsa. But then he can't leave Vrindavan. He comes back again to describe this pastime in the 46th and 47th chapters of the Brahmara Gita and Uddhav's visit to Vrindavan. It's very beautifully orchestrated, arranged in the Bhagavatam itself. So Uddhav, he's given these messages in the core of his heart to transfer to his parents and the gopis. And when he enters Braj, it's described in the 46th chapter, everything is as if Krishna is present. Krishna makes Uddhav, gives him the vision that to see Vrindavan with his presence. The cows are rutting in the fields. The gopis are singing beautiful songs. The cowherd boys are calling out very enthusiastically, bring the pail of milk. No, take this pail of milk. Tie the leg of the cow. And the whole atmosphere is joyful. Joy. The fires of the Brahmins are burning brilliantly. Everything is in festive mood completely. And then Uddhav, he's seeing this. And then Krishna steps out of a doorway. So what does Uddhav do? He offers his Dandavat pranams, because that's what he does to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then the whole thing disappears, because in Braj, they don't offer Dandavat pranams to Krishna at all. So understand the distinction here. This is the distinction in Uddhav's bar, in Uddhav's mood. He's honoring Krishna. And then he goes and stays the night with Nanda and Yashoda. And Mother Yashoda can't even speak. She's sitting in the side, just tears have even dried up on her face. She's just in so much stark separation mood. She can't even say. And suddenly Uddhav looks like Krishna. He has the same long, beautiful, wavy black hair. He wears the same clothes as Krishna. He would go and take the same cloth as Krishna. He wears exactly the same. When he comes in his chariot first to Braj, they think, oh, Krishna has returned. But then they see the distinction and they realize he's not. He's Krishna's cousin brother. He looks like Krishna, same complexion, same beauty. He's so beautiful, Uddhav. Uddhav is so beautiful, but he's not Krishna. So Nanda Baba, he hosts him. And Nanda Baba, he can't practically also speak because he's reminded of Krishna just by Uddhav's presence. But he begins to speak a little bit. There's beautiful 11, 12 verses there. And during those verses, at one point, Nanda Baba reflects that perhaps Krishna and Balaram were like demigods because they just killed the demon Kamsa. They destroyed that mighty bow. They killed that Kuvalya elephant. They're like demigods. Garga Rishi has already said they're like demigods. He says just one verse like this out of 10 verses. So when Uddhav responds, the only capacity that Uddhav has in his listening to Nanda Baba is to pick up on this one Aishwarya-scented verse. And he picks up on this. And he says, well, why are you lamenting? Don't you know that your son is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Nanda Baba is thinking, who is this person? Krishna is my son. How are you possibly thinking? He doesn't say like that, but he's just thinking. The commentator of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying like this. So Uddhav goes on for the whole night glorifying Krishna as being the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Nanda Baba, he can't believe what he's hearing and just closes his ears and internally reflects on the beauty of his son. Nanda Baba at one point says, even if you proclaim him the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he's still my son. Now this we understand, the sadhak can appreciate the depth of Vatsalya Bhav. This goes to extremity in Mother Yashoda. But Nanda Baba, he carries such an amount of this Vatsalya prem. So then in the morning time, it's described that because Uddhav, he specifically come to speak with the gopis. So it's described that he goes down to Krishna-kunda and he bathes in Krishna-kunda. And then he looks across from Krishna-kunda and he sees a forest of Kadamba trees, a very deep forest. Kadamba trees today, even if you find an ancient Kadamba tree, is huge in width. This whole forest was filled with huge, wide Kadamba trees. And he sees right in the center of that forest an illumination. This is exactly how my Gurudev described it in a festival in Paderborn in Germany. That Uddhav, he's looking into the forest from Nandagaon and he sees Uddhav-Kyari. Uddhav-Kyari is close. It's probably 2 kilometers maximum from Nandagaon. And he sees within that forest an illumination. And he intuitively realizes, oh, this must be the gopis. They haven't left Uddhav-Kyari since Akrura took Krishna from that place. Just beside Uddhav-Kyari, there's a rasta, there's a road, and it's called Akrura Rasta. And no respectable Brijbasi will travel on it. Only the people who must go on it with their bullocks or their cow, if they're really forced to go on that road, they'll go on it. But generally, they try to avoid it. That's the road that Akrura took their darling Krishna out of Vrindavan, which appears to be forever because they took him away for 100 years. And the gopis are still there. So then Uddhav, he goes in the morning to deliver his messages. And there's very, very beautiful exchanges. We don't have time to go in the whole chapter, but Uddhav, he comes, and when he comes into their assembly, there's a gopi off to the side who her separation mood is so extreme that all the other gopis are trying to pacify her in different sorts of ways. And then this gopi in front of Uddhav sees a bumblebee come, and she starts a dialogue with the bumblebee as if the bumblebee is a messenger, or as if the bumblebee is Uddhav directly, or as if the bumblebee is Krishna directly. And then Uddhav, he witnesses the extremity of this devotee's, Sri Radhika's separation from Krishna. And he is astonished. He's so astonished. He thought, like all the Mathuravasis and all the Dwarkavasis, the degree of their love for Krishna was so extreme, and it is high. We read in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Gopkumar, he reaches the court of the Yadus, the Yadavas, and their love for Krishna is so extraordinary, powerful. It's higher than anything he's seen previously when he comes into Dwarka, but it's not to be compared with the love of the Brijbasis. But it's extraordinary. So Uddhav is thinking this, and my Gurudev always uses the same analogy. He says Uddhav comes to Braj, and as if he's wearing a hat, and he's looking up at the height of the gopis praying, and his hat falls off his head. He can't conceive of the height of the gopis. It's beyond his capacity practically, because Uddhav is a Jnani Bhakta. He doesn't have the adhikar or the capacity to appreciate, to taste himself the extremity of the gopis' sweet love without that Aishwarya obstructing it. When Uddhav previously was in Dwarka, he was hearing from Gopkumar, and he wanted to encourage Gopkumar to go to Braj, and he knew that he didn't have that capacity as a Brijbasi himself. He acknowledges that. It's not like something you can attain. You have your fixed staibar, and the staibar can't change. The staibar is fixed. So Uddhav's staibar is fixed. He's a Dwarkavasi or a Mathuravasi, same. But he also is a Jnani Bhakta. So he's witnessing the height of Sri Radhika's praying. And after this incident, then he stays for several months in Vrindavan, it's described. Several months. It's not just a quick visit with a quick message. And he has abundant messages. One of those messages, which is quite extraordinary, one of the highest messages, because he initially uses his jnana to try to pacify the gopis. The gopis reject it immediately. They incinerate it. They just throw it right back. They can't hear it for a moment. We want to know about Krishna's heart, not the philosophy. That's not sufficient to pacify them at all. So at one point in his exchange with the gopis, he tells them to close their eyes. So they all close their eyes for a moment. It seems like a moment, but in that time that they close their eyes, time becomes compressed, and the entire length of the duration of a night of Brahma takes place in the gopis' consciousnesses, and the entire Rasa Leela transpires for the gopis at that time. Just for a moment. And Uddhav, he's witnessing this transformation. When the gopis open their eyes after apparently a moment of time in this world, they're satisfied, they're pacified. And then Uddhav realizes Krishna has somehow impregnated their consciousnesses to satisfy them. And for a few moments, the gopis are satisfied. But of course, meeting and separation, the dynamic of both, cannot be satisfied. In the meeting, there's always the fear of possible separation. And in separation, there's the fear or the fear of just being separated. You understand? So in both meeting and separation, there's anticipation. In separation, there's anticipation of the meeting, desiring of the meeting. And in separation, there's the anticipation of the meeting. And in separation. Yes, so there's both the meeting and the separation. There's this dynamic of greed to meet if it's in separation, and in meeting, greed to stay in meeting, because there's a fear of possible separation in the meeting, because they've already experienced some separation. So they're afraid that Krishna may disappear again. So in both cases, there's this greed, and this greed is the dynamic of the prem. Without this transcendental greed, then the prem is not ignited sufficiently. So Uddhav, he's experiencing, he's seeing this directly. He can't taste it to the same capacity. But when he leaves that land of Braj, he chants some very beautiful verses, very, very loudly, it's described. And I'm going to chant a couple of these mantras that he describes as he leaves. It's described, thus seeing how the gopis were always, I'm reading from 47th chapter, which is Brahmara Gita, the 57th verse and onwards. Thus, seeing how the gopis were always disturbed because of their total absorption in Krishna, they're disturbed in separation. Uddhav was supremely pleased. He can't understand their separation, but he just knows it's very high, so he's pleased. The gopis are not feeling pleased, they're feeling distraught separation. But Uddhav is sensing the speciality and height of that prem. Desiring to offer them all respect, he sang as follows, and it's described, he sang loudly as follows, so they would all hear their glories. He sings, Eta param tanuprito bhuvi gopavadvo Govinda eva nikalatmani rudhabhava Vanchantyadbhavayo munayo vayamcha Kim brahma janna birananta katara sasya. This means, among all persons on earth, these cowherd women alone have actually perfected their embodied lives. Only Uddhav is saying this. There's no other personality. We're at Uddhava-kunda. We're appreciating the personality of Uddhava. These verses have sprung from the heart of Uddhava. He's the only personality who has entered Braj to bring these jewels out of Braj. This is what Krishna wanted. No one else goes into Braj. That fruit seller, she came into Braj, but then she disappears afterwards. She doesn't tell all the Dwarka. So Krishna knows that as the mantri in Dwarka, Uddhav will proclaim these truths to them, and they will appreciate the extremity of the Brijavasi's praying. So among all persons on earth, these cowherd women alone have actually perfected their embodied lives, for they have achieved the perfection of unalloyed love for Lord Govinda. The perfection of love. This is what our whole journey as a sadhak is about, where our sadhya is to worship the perfection of love, who ultimately is embodied in the form of Sri Radhika. This is the embodiment of the perfection of love. This is why we worship Sri Radha. And in a moment, we will be walking in Radha-kunda, and we will be describing these glories in Radha-kunda itself, the very embodiment, the direct manifestation of Sri Radha is in Radha-kunda. Their pure love is hankered after by those who fear material existence, by great sages, by ourselves as well, Uddhava is saying. For one who has tasted the narrations of the infinite Lord, what is the use of taking birth as a high-class Brahmana, or even as Lord Brahma himself? This is what Uddhava is proclaiming. And then he says, how amazing it is that these simple women who wander about the forest, seemingly spoiled by improper behavior, have achieved the perfection of unalloyed love for Krishna, the supreme soul. This is the heart of the sadhak's journey. And we can hear this katha at Uddhava-kunda in glorification of Uddhava himself, who is glorifying the gopis themselves directly. Still, it is true that the Supreme Lord himself awards his blessings even to an ignorant worshipper, just as the best medicine works even when taken by a person ignorant of its ingredients. Even if you don't know what are the ingredients, the medicine will still work. And then again, he's saying, when Lord Krishna was dancing with the gopis in the Rasa Leela, the gopis were embraced by the arms of the Lord. This transcendental favor was never bestowed upon the goddess of fortune and other consorts. So how high is that praying that Uddhava is witnessing? In the spiritual, indeed, never was such a thing even imagined by the most beautiful girls in the heavenly planets, whose bodily luster and aroma resemble the lotus flower. Always when we hear these verses directly from the Bhagavatam, there's a special potency in all these. This is why I'm reading them. And what to speak of worldly men who are very beautiful according to material estimation. And then the most famous verse he sings, Asam aho charanurena jusamaham syam vrindavane kimapi kulmalatok siddhinam yadustyajam svajananam aryapatam chabhitva beju mukunda patavim shruti vikrinyam. The gopis of Vrindavan have given up the association of their husbands, sons, and other family members who are very difficult to give up, and they have forsaken the path of chastity to take shelter of the lotus feet of Mukunda, Krishna, which one should search for by Vedic knowledge. This is Uddhava speaking. By Vedic knowledge we should search for. Oh, let me be fortunate enough to be one of the bushes, creepers, and herbs of Vrindavan, because the gopis trample them and bless them with the dust of their lotus feet. So we've come to the place where Uddhava actually manifests as bushes. Directly from where we're sitting in Uddhava-kunda, perhaps not more than 200 yards away, is Kusuma-sarovara, which is the other side of Govardhan. It's right next door. And in Kusuma-sarovara, there's a place which is directly celebrated as that place where the bushes are represented as Uddhava. These bushes are Uddhava directly. And we're about 200 yards from there in Uddhava-kunda. Just across there's a little canal, and across there is Kusuma-sarovara. Oh, let me be fortunate enough to be one of the bushes, creepers, and herbs of Vrindavan, because the gopis trample them and bless them with the dust of their lotus feet. So, in conclusion, there's one very beautiful verse here also. Vande Nanda Brijashrinam Padarenam Abhikshanaha Yasham Harikatot Gitam Gunati Bhuvanatrayam. I offer repeatedly respects to the dust of the feet of the women of Nanda Maharaj's cowherd village. When these gopis loudly chant the glories of Krishna, the vibration purifies the three worlds. This is Uddhava's appreciation of the gopis. At Uddhava-kunda, there's the pastime that when Rajanava, he takes the queens there after Krishna has left and after Uddhava has left, and they begin a tumultuous kirtan, a sankirtan, and it invokes the presence of all the Pandavas who have also departed, and it invokes the presence of Uddhava at that time. Narad also comes, in response to this tremendous kirtan. So this is the lila that takes place also at this at Uddhava-kunda. The dancing and so on was so extreme of those personalities, remembering Uddhava. So all of these appreciations of Uddhava is what I've just tried to capsulate in a very short space of time. If we had the time to actually speak on Brahmara Gita itself with the 10 different types of prajalpa that Sri Radhika is talking in her madness, that would go for another whole 20, 30 minutes. But this is just an introduction, we can say. And I've tried to convey an appreciation of this personality of Uddhava, who was the only one who was graced from the outside, from Braj, to actually come and experience and taste the speciality of the gopis praying. He couldn't experience it, but he could appreciate it. And he brings it out to celebrate it amongst the Dwarkavasis later on. So this is something of Uddhava. So we remember Uddhava with our full attention and focus here. And this is the beautiful deities at Uddhava-kunda itself. Uddhava-Bihariji. This is Uddhava-Bihariji. There used to be an old Pujari here now who knew my Gurudev very well. He knew Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada very well. He knew all the acharyas because everyone would come and visit and pay homage to Uddhava-kunda. And this is Uddhava. This is a Thakurji of Uddhava himself at Uddhava-kunda. So today we come to this most celebrated, holy place of Uddhava-kunda and pray to have some of the appreciation and realization that Uddhava wants to transpire to us. By hearing these pastimes, perhaps a little drop will come from the mercy of our Gurudev into our hearts to appreciate. So Uddhava-kunda ki jai, Vanchakalpa Guruvyascha, Kripasindhavevcha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo.
Jai, thank you so much, Maharaj. And now we will hand over to, I believe, Sripad Vaikanas Maharaj.
No, Sridhar waiting Maharaj.
Nope.
Vaikanas Maharaj is doing Kusuma-sarovara.
Okay.
We go to Radha-kunda first, and then we, at the very end, spend a few minutes in Kusuma-sarovara.
Great.
You want to say it again?
No need.
You can introduce Sridhar Maharaj to take us to Radha-kunda.
I think you've just done it, Maharaj.
Okay.
Mukam karoti vachalam pangumam gayate girim yatripam tamam vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Parindra Badanam Harim Vamshakal Patarugya Kripa Sindhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanida Vaishnavibhyo Namo Nama. So in Laghu Bhagavatamrita, Rupa Goswami tells us the pastimes of Vrindavan, the pastimes of sweetness decorated with power. And the pastimes in Mathura and Dwarka, the pastimes of power decorated with sweetness. In Braj, there is so much Aishwarya, we mentioned the other day, but it is completely drowned by the sweetness of Braj. That's why when Uddhava was trying to sell his gyan to the gopis, like, no, Sridhar Maharaj just mentioned, they didn't want to hear about it. And when again Krishna spoke the same thing, wanted to tell the same thing in Kurukshetra when they met, what did they say? You already sent this madman, Uddhava, to try to sell us this gyan. No, we don't want to hear that. No. Gurudev gave the example, if you remember, if you put like 15 liters of milk boiling and you put one piece of straw inside, so it's going to be boiling with the milk. But how often do you see that straw? It just comes up once in a while. So in Vrindavan, the milk is the sweetness and the straw is the Aishwarya. Okay. Actually, there's more. Aishwarya, but it's completely drowned, like I just mentioned. So when we come to Radha-kunda, we're coming from the Uddhava road, and we enter Radha-kunda, and then something is different. There's something in the atmosphere which is different as soon as you enter into Radha-kunda. Because that sweetness is there so much more than all along the path. When you come, as soon as you come, it's like when you arrive in a big city from a village, you start to feel the passion so much. So when you come to Radha-kunda, you start to feel the sweetness. So those pastimes in Radha-kunda, actually, they're the longest of the 8 divisions of the day of Krishna's Lila. The Madhyan Lila lasts from about 11 o'clock to 3:30. It's like 3.5 hours. All the rest is 3 hours or less. Because this is like the most intimate place of pastimes of Radha and Krishna. So Krishna has gone to the pasturing ground. Radhika has gone back to Yavat with her friends. And immediately she starts to feel so much separation mood. Fortunately, Yogamaya inspires Jatila to tell her, oh, my dear girl, you go and worship the sun god for the welfare of my son. Now, I've seen that since you worship the sun god, oh, so many more cows are coming to our Goshal. I want my son to have unlimited cows, so you go and worship the sun god. Because the gopis, they are there just waiting when we'll see him again. No, they just separated from him. They were in Nandagown. Radhika was cooking. She offered, she could not serve Krishna directly in Nandagown. Now, although Mother Yashoda wants her to do it, but she said, no, she's so shy. I cannot show my face to all these men. No. So she cooks. And it is said that she has so much love for Krishna that she's cooking in front of 100 stoves, blazing fire, but for her, not any heat. But she's so absorbed in thinking, oh, those special ladus I'm making will please Krishna. All those, everything I'm doing is only for his pleasure. She's so absorbed in that the conditions outside don't bother her. Just like we hear when she goes on Govardhan, it's midday, it's like so hot. Anyone touching the rocks get burned. But she's like completely oblivious to that. She just absorbed in Krishna. So in Radha-kunda, before coming to Radha-kunda, she goes with her friends and they go to Surya-kunda and do the worship. And they expedite it quite swiftly. And then they take the path of Radha-kunda. Meanwhile, Krishna is with his friends. And Krishna only has one thing in mind when he goes co-herding, plain, but meet with her. Therefore, after some time, he tells his friend that, oh, I'm taking look in the forest, and accompanied with a few intimate friends, Priyanarma Sakas. Then they go in towards Radha-kunda. No, the Sakas cannot enter that place. Although they are the kunjas, but we heard that they gave the kunjas to the gopis. So they come, but then Krishna finds a pretext and he goes along. And meanwhile, the gopis, they're still in Yavat and they're thinking, oh, our shyness and our fear of our elders are like 2 great enemies. And they tell their shyness and their fear, leave us alone, let us go. So finally they manage to break away. This is described very beautifully in Kavikarnapurni or Krishna Kaumudika, so sweetly. And then Krishna, meanwhile, he has come to the bank of Radha-kunda and he's playing his flute and he's churning the heart of the gopis to dissipate any obstacle to their meeting. Because he knows they are always in the opposed mood. If he's in a submissive mood, it's in a rule in Kama Shastra. If they are in opposed mood, is submissive. And when he becomes opposed, they become submissive. But now Krishna is submissive. He wants them to come. So he's playing the flute. And then the gopis very expertly, they can find, oh, he's there. So they pick up flowers, and then they start to make very subtle innuendos. Speaking about, oh, look, Radha, this beautiful golden vine going around a tamar tree, a dark tree. Oh, and then they giggling because they mean this is you and Krishna. But Radhika is like, oh, you'll see when this happens to you. No, you are mocking me, but you will see. So finally, all the obstacles are destroyed, and they come to Radha-kunda. And then in Radha-kunda, this is like the highest manifestation of praying. Now, what is that verse from Yugal Astakam of Jiva Goswami? Krishna Prema Mayi Radha Prema Mayo Hari. Isn't it? That Krishna's mind is fully engrossed in Radha. And Radha's mind is fully engrossed in Krishna. He's fixed in her. His consciousness is completely fixed on her. Her consciousness is completely fixed on him. So when those two meet, this is an explosion of rasa. And on the banks of Radha-kunda, they meet, and immediately they are animated by the desire to have jal krida, water pastimes. When we speak of Ras Lila, sometimes we think, Ras Lila means dancing. But actually, Srila Gurudev explained, no, Ras Lila involves so many pastimes. There is dancing, of course. Then there is going from forest to forest, Gaman Lila. Then there is Madhupan, drinking honey, drinking prem, because the honey there means also the prem. Then there's Jal Krida, water pastime. Then there's Pan Lila, playing dice. All this is included in the Ras Lila. Stealing Krishna's flute, yes, that is one of the favorite pastimes of the gopis, to steal his flute, because his flute is his greatest weapon. They completely, when he plays the flute, they become completely helpless. They cannot defend themselves. Like I just mentioned, the flute destroys all the obstacles, churn their heart, any opposite mood, it just gets washed away by the flute. They become completely irresistibly attracted. His flute is like putting a spell of love on their heart, and they cannot resist that. So they come to Radha-kunda, and then the manjaris, they supply the gopis some very nice bathing suit, white cloth, and then they enter the water, and it's described such a beautiful way that Krishna is like a blue sapphire, and the gopis are around him like gold, like a ring set in gold, like that. So Krishna is a sapphire, blue sapphire in the middle, moving sapphire, and they are moving around, all the gopis. And then they attack Krishna, of course, because they are on the camp of Radhika, so always opposed to Krishna. So they gather lotus seeds and lotus flowers, and they bombard Krishna with them. And Krishna expertly catches all of them and send them back, throw them back to all of them. And then he starts to splash them. So they have a fight and splashing water. And then some water goes in Radha's eyes, and the mantra is, oh, Radha, no, let me help you, like that. Very, very funny. And then Krishna is like also described like the king of elephants, with female elephants playing in the waters of Radha-kunda. And then they have a game. Krishna always has like Maharaj was saying the other day, maybe the Kanas Maharaj, Krishna has always some new game that he invents to please his friends or please the gopis. So they say, okay, let's calculate, let's see who can remain under the water the longest. And then he said, like kids do, and they all go under the water. But Krishna likes to always be the victor. So what does he do? He comes out and goes down again. So everyone is coming out. And Krishna finally comes out like, I'm the best. Now Lalita, she starts to sing, there's something fishy there. He cannot stay that long under. He must be doing something. So when everyone goes down, she remains up. She doesn't go down. And as soon after, Krishna just comes out and oops, discovered. And of course, when Radhika comes out, Lalita tells on him, she just started, and Radhika said, oh, really? Can now you find me? and then she dies under the water. And then Krishna is looking around like, in great anxiety. Where has she gone? Where has she gone? Like Maharaj so beautifully explained. When there is meetings, there's always this anticipation of separation. Just like in the morning when we hear about Nishanta Lila, they are woken up by the different birds and parrots singing the glories of Radha and of Krishna. And finally, because they don't want to leave each other, then Yogamaya, she sent like the heavy artillery, peacocks, and then started to trumpet. And then when nothing works, okay, send Kakati, and he starts to make noise. Jatila, Jatila, Jatila. Jatila means the rays of the sun, but Jatila also is the most fearsome word because this is the mother-in-law of Krishna, of Radha. So when they hear Jatila, they now we have to get up. But they can't. There's so much in pain of separation. So it describes they just sit in front of each other in lotus, putting each other's head on their shoulder and crying hot tears of anticipation of separation. And then they become angry at those tears because those tears don't allow them to look at each other nicely. And then they clasp each other again and become one. And Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj says, the form of Mahaprabhu can be traced to the morning embrace of Radha and Krishna, who are mad at the idea of being separated for a few hours. So Krishna, when Radhika is going under, his heart just like, how long is she going to be gone? No. This is always there. Maharaj was speaking about that greed. So it's always, how long she will be gone? And Radhika, what she does, because she cannot remain under the water for so long, although she's a supreme goddess, this is not a lila, human-like pastimes. So she goes among lotuses, yellow lotuses, and then she just puts her face out. And no one can distinguish her face because she's golden like the lotus. And then Krishna is looking and suddenly he sees there's a lot of bees there. There's a lot of bees. Those bees were not there before. And he understands, she must be there. And then Krishna goes under the water. And when he comes to her, he grabs her feet like a crocodile. And then she just, and all the Sakis start to be emotional. Lalita, of course, comes to defend Krishna with that. And then Krishna says, okay, I defeated you, now my turn. And then Krishna dives. And then all the gopis have the same feeling of, he left. How long? When we will see him again? Maybe always that anticipation is there, not to spice up the relationship. That greed Maharaj described, and that fear anticipating separation. And then Krishna does the same, but he goes in another corner of Radha-kunda where there are blue lotuses. He puts his face among the lotuses. And no one can distinguish. Until Radhika, using the same thing, there must be some sign. And then suddenly she said, this big swarm of bees, and he must be there. And then she says, Shyam, you are seen. I've seen you. And then she goes to see him. And all the gopis are around. So they have this Jalakrita, beautiful pastime, so innocent between them. Sometimes people get the wrong idea about the Radha Krishna Lila. And Srila Vaman Maharaj says, come on, they're 6 years old. Don't start to project your man-woman misconception. Just like when we go to Chirgat, where Krishna stole the clothes of the gopis, they were little girls. But then the artists, they paint women with full breasts, heavy hips. Come on, they were just little girls. Not even, at that time, they don't even distinguish in the village if boys and girls, they play naked around. So they're 6 years old. Come on, don't put, and Prabhupada, my Gurudev said, this is a licentious mind of the artist. They have this lusty mind, therefore they paint gopis as if they were full-breast women, like mature women. Little girls. They don't have any breasts that mosquito bite them, but nothing. So all these pastimes are so beautiful. And then meanwhile, Vrinda has arranged a beautiful picnic because part of Rasila is having a picnic. So on the bank of Radha-kunda, she has arranged all kinds of fruits. Radhika or Sakis very quickly dry her up and then dress her up again and shrink her. or ornaments and everything. And this is the favorite pastime of the manjaris. No, taking care of Krishna. Once he's dried up, again, dressing him and then sitting them next to Radha. Radha herself, she wants to squeeze mangoes to make nice juice, fresh mango juice with her own lotus hand. She squeezes the mangoes to make juice for Krishna in the most fine, how do you say, crystal glasses. And then they have this picnic on the bank of Radha-kunda. And all the while, they are anticipating, oh, we're going to have to separate soon. So it's like always kind of spoiling the fun because they enjoy so much to be together. They only want to please the other. There's no kind. There's completely no lust whatsoever. Lust means not to satisfy myself. Krishna only wants to please them, especially to please her, and she only wants to please him. They have no personal agenda. This is something very hard for us to understand because we always have an agenda when we do something. Until we become pure devotees, and our love is completely pure, spontaneous, we always do something to get something in return. Our mind is, Bhagavatam says, karmatmika. We want the fruit of our actions. Even in bhakti, we carry that disease, that we are the center and we want to enjoy. But for them, this is completely foreign to them. Prabhupada writes, it is conspicuous by its absence. You can notice it because it's not there. Oh, how come it's no? That's why Maharaj was speaking so nicely. Like for Uddhava, the love of the gopis is like unfathomable. And remember, Gurudev was telling us, Krishna wanted to send Uddhava to the same school where he learned praying, the school of the gopis. That's where Krishna learned to love. No, Krishna is master of the 64 arts. But where did he learn the art of love? From Radhika. Radhika Primera Guru, I'm Shishyanat. I'm her disciple. She teaches me love. So he wanted to send Uddhava to the same school where he learned how to love. But Gurudev told us he only saw the building of the school. He was not allowed inside. He failed the entrance exam. It was just one question for the exam. He gave back a white sheet. He could not answer. What was the question? Oh, Krishna tells us, Uddhava tells us, everyone knows that everyone is self-motivated. If there's a fire in the forest, the deer and the animals will never come back. Once a teacher has taught his students, the students give dakshin and they say bye-bye, they'll never come back. If a prostitute has exhausted all the money of a client, she'll never look at them again. No. And she gives so many examples of it. But all we loved Krishna only for his sake. So tell us, why did he leave us? Those people leave the source of their whatever income or food or interest as soon as they're satisfied. But our love was completely pure. We entered in that relationship without any personal agenda, only to please him. So why did he go? Uddhava, can you tell us? And Uddhava just gave back a white sheet. He could not write anything. He could not write nothing. Would they say he only saw the buildings, like Maharaj said, no. He looked at the mountain of their prem and his turban just fell off. But he didn't even want to become a gopi. He said, I'm not qualified. No. But if I become a blade of grass and one gopi, I was told that the verse says gopis, but actually it means one gopi. If one gopi, when she goes to Abhisa, means rendezvous with Krishna, appointment, she touches me and I get a little of a foot dust, then my life will be successful. So in Radha-kunda, we have this overflowing of the two hearts of Radha and Krishna, full of prem, and the gopis and sakis and manjaris. Now only Krishna's gopis are there, means Radha's gopis are there. The group of Chandravali cannot even come. Now Srila Bhakti-Jivan Janatan Maharaj says, Radha-kunda is like a fortress where only the group of Radha can come, and this is only allowed for members of that group. The others can't even come near. And Raghunath Das Goswami was doing his bhajan there. Every morning when we'd go around, those of us who are blessed to be here, we go around, we go from Samadhi to Samadhi, from Bhajan Kuti to Bhajan Kuti, praying to all those personalities. You even have subterranean bhajan kuti of Narodam Thakur here. He also did bhajan here underground in a cave, like Maharaj was describing the other day. So such a place surcharged. We have Janava Thakurani's place there. Such a, I mean, every morning when I go there, I just like, my heart starts go up, no, because it's so surcharged and there's so much devotion there. All those people, ladies, even old ladies reading, I don't know what they're reading, something in Hindi or Sanskrit. Prayers, everyone is chanting, going around, bowing down, praying. Like, the place is so surcharged. I like to chant my rounds there in the morning, just behind, and there's a beautiful painting by Alanka Manjari when she had darshan of Radha Gopinath. So chant there, looking at her and her purity, trying to chant under her guidance, and looking at the feet of Krishna. You cannot see Radhika's feet, but that's a nice place, nice meditation. So I won't be longer. We have now a much better speaker than me, who will enlighten you with the glories of Kusuma-sarovara. Go Premanande.
Haribol, thank you so much for your beautiful words, Maharaj. And without further ado, we'll hand over to Sripad Bhaktivedanta Vaikanas Maharaj to speak about Kusuma-sarovara.
Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshulamilitan Jaina Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Guruve Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namaha Avancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So we begin by offering our most humble obeisance unto the lotus feet of our beloved Gurus, unto Sri Guru Pada Padma Nityalita Bhavishta Om Vishnu Pad Asto Tarsat Sri Simad Abhaya Chararavinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada, and the same heartfelt obeisance unto the lotus feet of Sri Guru Pada Padma Nityalita Bhavishta Om Vishnu Pad Asto Tarsat Sri Simad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, under our exalted Rupanu Guru Varga, all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. So first, a word of appreciation to both Srila Dvaita Maharaj and to Sri Dandi Maharaj, because listening to them, you can't help but be transported to those very places. Beautiful description of Radha-kunda, those special places, places of bhajan, places of worship, and it's quite lovely. And the words he was speaking, bring us back, because he's just repeating what we've heard from our gurus. And thus it has potency, power, right? And the affection and mercy of our gurus are contained in those marvelous descriptions. And Sri Dandi Maharaj giving all that information that, frankly, I hadn't kept up with it. If you don't hear this regularly and speak regularly, it might submerge, right? Get lost behind the doors in the hallways of your memory. And so he was bringing out so many things that I had forgotten. So I'm very, very appreciative, very appreciative. Anyway, you may know that when we are doing the parikrama, by the time we've done Radha-kunda, and we've gone to so many places over the month, and everyone's kind of tired, your feet are sore, we're walking down the road, it's hot, there's these little pebbles that are poking, and by the time we get to Kusuma-sarovara, everyone is very tired. And we go into that little very broad covered area, paved with beautiful stones. The original Kusuma-sarovara, of course, existed in the time of Radha and Krishna when they were manifest, and then forgotten, refurbished by Vaijnava, but then again forgotten. And there's a little note in the parikrama book how, I guess it was about 1787, one king, one Singh, Man Singh king, had attacked Delhi, where the Muslim Mughals were in charge. This was a Rajput king, and he defeated them and stole the treasury. And with that, he built what we see is the modern Kusum-sarovara with beautiful steps going down, very clean. But there are also a few other structures that were built later. They're called cenographs. Some king had made little monuments to himself and to his two wives. It's not their actual tomb, but it's a memorial to them. And then we don't see it in this picture. We saw it in the other picture. Behind it all is a little ashram. And if you go back and around, the pujaris there, they will recount how our Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj had spent some time there, whether it was in the late 50s or the early 60s, I can't remember, but he had left the Mathura Mat for some time. It was by the will of the Lord. There was some dispute at the Mat, and Gurudev had given shelter to one devotee that had been removed from the Mat, Devananda Gaudiya Mat in Navadvip by Bhaktivedanta Keshav Maharaj, some inappropriate behavior. But Gurudev, understanding the mood of mercy of his Guru Maharaj, had given him shelter in Mathura, a fresh start, so to speak. Because Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, one time, there was a pastime when the devotees had driven another devotee out of the mat, shamed him for some inappropriate behavior, something we would consider very insignificant today, but by the standards of the Gaudiya Mat, oh, you can't be here. You talk to a lady. You're a brahmachari. So when Saraswati Prabhupada came to the mat and found out that this person was gone, he spoke, oh, we spent gallons and gallons of blood to get just one person into the mat, and to lose one is the greatest misfortune, right? So you find him or I'm leaving this place. That he was not appreciative. So Gurudev had some dispute, nature of the mat. Devotees are always taking sides, and there's always some conflict going on, and that's to purify us, right? That Gurudev has explained that living in a temple or living in a mat it's like a bag of sharp rocks all together, bunched in together, and they're all poking each other. And when the bag gets shook, all the rocks are poking, and interaction with the devotees in the mat, it's like that. But he said that over time, by the practice of tolerance, patience, and genuinely looking towards the positive qualities of those devotees, then you will become purified. We're all concerned with somebody else getting purified. Oh, their sharp points, their sharp rocks, they're doing this, they're saying that, and we're criticizing them. But actually, Saraswati Prabhupada said we should always look to ourselves. And if we become purified, then the problems and misdeeds of others won't concern us so much, right? And we'll have more of the quality of our gurus, which is one of compassion. So Gurudev understood the heart of his guru, that the devotee had made trouble there, but he had to be removed, but not completely. So Gurudev gave him shelter at Mathura. But some devotees, they had an uproar, and they criticized Gurudev. So Gurudev took that as a pretext. There's no peace for me, and he went to Govardhan. And we don't have time to explain all these pastimes, but he had remarkable, remarkable spiritual experiences there. And he did spend some time at Kusuma-sarovara in the back doing bhajan there. So it's sanctified in the past, it's sanctified in recent times by so many of our great acharyas, and by special mood of devotion of Srila Narayan Maharaj, who was there and who was remembered by the Mahants and the pujaris there in the back. So, but in the time of Radha and Krishna, it was beautiful lake surrounded by forests and extraordinary gardens. Remember, this is Vrindavan, so the trees are replete with flowers, and every tree can manifest any kind of flower they want, or multiple kinds of flowers if they like, right? All because every morning, if you read Gopal Champa, there's a beautiful section where Brinda Devi and Purnamasi are getting together, and sometimes Madhu Mangal is there. I've heard Tridandi mention this also. Sometimes at Kamivan he would mention this. And they come together and they plan out the day. They know that Vrindavan is a dramatic stage for the Leela of Radha and Krishna, the pastimes. And each part of Vrindavan, Radha and Krishna will go, and there'll be a special Leela that's going to take place. So early in the morning, they plot it all out. They're like the stage managers, so to speak. Okay, he's going to this forest, he's going to this place. Radhika and the gopis can meet. Oh, the Vani Devi should arrange in the kunjas nice unguents, nice drinks, change of clothes, all different things, whatever's needed for the Leela. And each tree knows their role as well, and each bush. So this morning, Radhika is going to go and pick flowers at Kusuma-sarovara, right? And then Krishna, he also knows where they're going to be. They've exchanged signals and signs at different times of the day, so they know where they can meet up. So there's two really nice descriptions, short, in the Parikrama book. And so following the example of Chaitanya Maharaj, I'm going to read it because these are taking Gurudev's own descriptions, right? And when Gurudev would say these, he would imbue these descriptions with such sweetness, but also such vividness. The images would come to life, right? So, Kusuma-sarovara is on the right side of the Parikrama path, about 1.5 miles southwest of Radha-kunda. A forest of flowers, kusum, right? Kusum means flower, sarovara means, right, lake, right? Was here, full of varieties of trees, creepers, and flowers like Bailey, Chameli, Juhi, Juti, Malika, and Champak. Srimati Radhika used to come here on the pretext of picking flowers with her girlfriends. But her real intent was to meet Rasik Sri Krishna, with whom she would have love quarrels and sarcastic exchanges full of ras. This is perhaps, the most delightful thing that we were introduced to by our Srila Gurudev, this idea of their arguments back and forth. How clever, how sweet, and how many beautiful moods were exchanged in these quarrels. In fact, in one place in his description of Dangati pastimes, which Shuddhadvaita described so nicely the other day, described that these quarrels are actually in many ways the highest kind of exchange and sweeter than even other pastimes we hear about in the kunjas, because so much cleverness, so much emotion, so many subtle exchanges of love are within these quarrels, right? And the beauty, of course, of prem is it experienced in so many subtle ways. We only know in the material world that we demand obvious expressions of love. Marriage counselors will tell people, if you want a successful marriage, you should tell your husband or wife, I love you in the morning and I love you before I go to bed, right? You should always say, I love you, because people are insecure and they want some affirmation. But in prem is so subtle and so extraordinary that it is best expressed indirectly, right? In covered, clever words, right? And so these love quarrels are actually beautiful, beautiful ways of expressing love. And even though when they appear to criticize, when you look more deeply, and if you look at the descriptions or acharyas and their analysis of the Sanskrit words, how it appears to mean one thing, but it actually can mean quite another. So she used to come and collect flowers with her friends for what purpose? Obviously to make garlands for Krishna. And each flower, each one that they carefully pick and choose, is thought out carefully. It's There's love in even the picking of the flower and then the stringing of each one. If you've ever read the Radha-kunda Dipavali, that little tiny red book, there's a description of all the different kinds of garlands and ornaments, necklaces, belts, ankle bells, bracelets, and earrings made from different kinds of flowers. Hoops with little tiny flowers hanging inside, belts. So this picking of flowers, it's an amazing thing. It's very careful. I mean, when we go, okay, there's a rose, there's a carnation, there's just grab a whole bunch and bring them back and string them. The artistry that they have in creating these different forest ornaments, flower ornaments, is extraordinary. So picking flowers, by shape, by color, by fragrance, and of course, the mood of love in each one, from the flower and from the person picking it. Remember, when Mother Jashoda was so concerned about the milk, because she wanted to engage it in Krishna's service, right? Each of these flowers, pick me, pick me. and the gopis are picking each of these flowers. So one day, Gurudev takes us from the Krishna Bhavanamrita. Srimati Radhika was picking flowers here with her girlfriends when Krishna arrived. And the following exchange took place. So I'll do one voice of Krishna. I won't read because it says Krishna. Who is there? Radha, nobody. Just do a slightly different voice so you know. Krishna, arrogant and a little loud. Who is there? And Radhika, completely composed and calm and aloof, apparently aloof, right? Nobody. Tell me honestly, who are you? Nobody. You are speaking in a very crooked way. And you speak in a very straight way, don't you? I am asking you who you are. And I remember Gurudev saying this. He said it so sweetly. Don't you know? What are you doing? And Krishna, now he's trembling, right? Don't you know? And then he composes himself. What are you doing? Picking flowers to worship the sun god. Have you received permission from anyone to do so? There's no need of anyone's permission. Aha! I have caught a thief today. I wondered who was stealing flowers every day and ruining this garden. Now I have caught you, and I will punish you straight away. Oh, since when have you become the master of this flower garden? Have you ever planted a single flower here? Have you ever even watered one? On the contrary, you ruin this flower garden with your hundreds and thousands of cows and your boisterous, brazen friends. Indeed, since when have you become the protector of this garden? Right? And Gurudev would say that. Everyone burst out laughing because, oh, you're the right. You and your cows just walking over everything, trampling your cows, eating everything in sight. You're the protector of this garden. Get out of here, right? She's saying. And Krishna appears to be offended, right? She's just having so much fun with him, and he's loving it. Remember in Chaitanya Charitamrita, he says, I love the sharp retorts and remarks of my beloveds more than all the prayers of the greatest sages in the universe. Right? So he's completely immersed in happiness. But he responds, oh, do not defame a pious, righteous person like me. Now I shall teach you a good lesson. Now Radhika's smiling. Oh, aha, yes, you are a highly pious and righteous person. Yes, you killed a woman right after your birth. You lied to your mother, even in childhood. Remember how he was, Chaitanya was talking about cheeky Krishna lying to his mother. You broke the mortar, you did this. The monkey smeared me, lying at every step to the delight of his mother and everyone who heard about it. But here, so she's enjoying it, but it appears to be a criticism. You lied to your mother even in childhood. You stole butter from the houses of the neighboring gopis. And when you became a little older, you stole the clothes of the young gopis. Only a few days ago, you killed a calf. This is the extent of your pious, saintly conduct. Now, hearing this retort, Krishna scratches his head and looks towards the clever Maru Mangal. Hey, help me out here, right? He's looking to him, who just looks similarly bewildered and advises him in a whisper, right? One's well-being lies in remaining quiet, right? Don't say anymore. Every time you open your mouth, she defeats you. You know, Srila Advaita Maharaj was talking about all the different games they play at Radha-kunda, right? And sometimes when they play games, which are games based on strength, then Krishna and his friends will win. And Radhika tells her friends, we should choose a game that's based on intelligence and mental acuity, cleverness. Those games we can easily defeat Krishna, right? So now he's defeated in wordplay. And all the Sakis come, they surround Krishna and Radhika, and they begin to clap, praising Radhika and her cleverness. Oh, our Saki is so clever. And then another pastime. One morning, Srimati Radhika and her Sakis came to the bank of Kusuma-sarovara to pick Beli, Chameli, Juhi, Kanera, Champak, and other flowers that bloomed here. Srimati Radhika saw a tree with a branch full of flowers. Knowing that she was coming to Kusuma-sarovara to pick flowers, playful Krishna had climbed that very tree. Right, seeing that tree and seeing it so fully blossoming, that, oh, she'll surely come to this one. Using all his weight, he pushed the branch down and remained hidden in the foliage so that Srimati Ji could not see him. Radhika pulled down that branch with one hand and was absorbed in picking its flowers with the other, like that, right? And when suddenly Krishna shifted to another branch, and the branch sprung up, lifting Radhika with it, and because she had a tight hold on it. So, now she's up in the air. And there's a nice picture. Yes, beautiful picture. I believe this is from our temple in Govardhan, yes? And she cries out for help. And Krishna now the opportunity to be the hero, right? Not the perpetrator of this mischief and misdeed, but the hero. He leaps from the tree and, leaps from the tree and caught the hanging Srimati Ji in his arms. The Sakis began clapping and laughing loudly. Because the Sakis, even Ashtasakis, sometimes they'll also take Krishna's side, sometimes Radhika's side, in order to enhance the Leela. And they know that Radhika wants to be with Krishna, Krishna wants to be with Radhika. So when Krishna does something very clever, and Radhika's own desire to be with Krishna is fulfilled in this special, charming way, they're all happy and charmed. But as in all things prem, what will happen after that? Radhika released herself from Krishna's embrace and scolded him harshly. How dare you? And Krishna's enjoying that scolding so much. But now there are no more flowers, Gurudev says. It's disappeared, but we can remember these things and pray that one day we will get to see Kusuma-sarovara as it is. So then we leave this place, walk back to the mat, right, to our place, and take lunch. Okay, that's all. Gaur Premanande, Haribol.
Jai Haribol. Thank you so much, Maharaj. Thank you to all the Maharajas for beautiful Qatar today. Sorry, I'm not particularly on it, as you can tell. Before we have our closing kirtan, I just have a brief announcement to make. We have a 3-day festival coming up as part of our Zoom parikrama. On Friday, we'll be hearing, as I said yesterday, about the appearance and disappearance day of Srila Bhaktivedanta Vaman Maharaj and Srila Bhaktivedanta Trivikram Maharaj. On Saturday, we'll be hearing about the disappearance day of Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and on Sunday, we'll be hearing about the appearance day of Srila Bhakti Swarup Siddhanti Goswami Maharaj. So I hope you can all tune in and one other thing is if you've missed any of the Zoom programs and you want to catch up, they're all on YouTube, and I'm gonna post the link in the chat in a moment. So they're all there and you can catch them up there. So without further ado, I will hand over to Damayanti Didi, if I can see her. Yes.
We have to go. We've got our Guru Puja. I apologize for that. Thank you, Tarun. Excellent job. Thank you all. Go Premanande Haribo.
Very well. So Damayanti Didi, when you're ready, go for it.
Namo Vishnupadaya Radhika Priyatmane Shishma Bhaktivedanta Narayani Namine Namo Om Vishnupadaya Shri Guru Prasthaya Bhutale Shishma Bhaktivedanta Madhavi Namine Gurave Gaurachandra Radhika Tadale Krishna Krishna Bhakta Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha. I'm going to sing Radha-kunda on page 218. Kunja kutira govardhana pada yamuna tira Radha-kunda tata kunja kutira govardhana pada yamuna tira Kusuma-sarovara Mana-sarovara Kusuma-sarovara Mana-sarovara Vipula-taranga Kalindanandini Vipula-taranga Radha-kunda tata kunja kutira govardhana pavata yamuna tira Vamsivata gokula virasamira Vamsivata gokula virasamira Vrindavanadaru Latika Vanira Vrindavanadaru Latika Vanira Radha-kunda tata kunja kutira govardhana pavata yamuna tira Kagamugakula Manaya Bandasa Kagamugakula Manaya Bandasa Brahmara Murali Vilasa Mayura Brahmara Murali Vilasa Radha-kunda Tata Kunja Kutira Govardhana Parvata Yamuna Tira Venu Shringapada Chinamegamala Venu Shringapada Chinamegamala Vasanta Sankakarata Vasanta Sankakarata Rani Vilasa Udipakamani Lila Vilasa Udipakamani Radha-kunda Tata Kunja Kutira Govardhana Parvata Yamuna Tira Esa Pachodata Kahina Hijau Esa Pachodata Kahina Hijau Esa Pachodata Paranahara Data Paranahara Laka Baka Amara Para Tuadi Baka Amara Parana Radha-kunda Tata Kunja Kutira Govardhana Parvata Yamuna Tira Radha-kunda Tata Kunja Kutira Govardhana Parvata Yamuna Tira Radha-kunda Tata Kunja Kutira Govardhana Parvata Yamuna Tira Radha-kunda Jaya Shama Kunda Radha-kunda Jaya Shama Kunda Jaya Radha-kunda Jaya Shama Kunda Radha-kunda Jaya Shama Kunda Jaya Radha Jaya Krishna Jaya Radha Jaya Krishna Jaya Radha Jaya Krishna Jaya Radha Jaya Krishna Jaya Radha Gopi Vinod Gopi Vinod Gopi
Ari Paul, thank you so much for such a beautiful kirtan. Thank you for coming, and making the time and the effort. With this, we'll end our program. Vancha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhayeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Vrindaya tulasi devyaya priyaya keshavasya cha Krishna Bhakti Prada Devi Satya